Now I have this set of beliefs, I have this worldview, and the question is that, well, do my beliefs actually correspond to reality? Do I, when I think that this is true, do I see that some way, or can I verify that some way in the actual world? Can I verify all my beliefs? That's a question. Maybe I can. Maybe some of them I just have to hold because it works, and if I don't hold it, it's not going to work. Okay? You know, before DNA, maybe there was really no way for me to prove, to verify, that my parents were actually my parents, outside of them telling me that they were. You know? But now that we understand genetic relationships, we can do paternity tests or whatever, that kind of stuff, or, you know, paternity tests, that kind of stuff. Now we have a way of verifying that belief in somebody's worldview that their parents actually are their parents. See, so in here, how we measure worldview in the correspondence area is that, do all the beliefs work together in that worldview, or do they conflict with one another? And in correspondence, we're asking, do all the things that I believe, do I see them in reality? Are they really there, or are they in conflict with reality? And I gave, you know, the example later on about, you know, flying to Washington where they actually had wings or something. Okay. Another test of a world, these are basically tests or ways of evaluating a worldview, is it practical? Does this worldview, can I practice it? Can I live it out in the worldview and have certain expectations and see those expectations, you know, come to life? Is it something that's just theoretical, kind of heady in my brain, and that's it? Or are there aspects of this worldview that I can live out? You know, that concern my beliefs, like if I think that that if I'm charitable, that if I give something to someone because they're in need, that actually matters. See, that it actually makes a difference. See, how can I practice the things that I believe? Is it practical? You know, does it work? Yeah, is it relevant?
Amen, brother.
Is it relevant? Does it really matter? You know, when the worldview is not just believed, but it's implemented, it's lived out. Does it make a difference? Does it really matter? You know, that's another aspect. If it doesn't, then great. I have this worldview and I have this issue about reality, but it's not useful. It's not practical. So we call this the practical test. It doesn't really help me out with anything. And then lastly, and I think I've kind of hinted at this, but just to kind of give you an idea, are all the major fields of study, are all the things that we study and we are, as a human race, as a community of people in this world, as we are trying to search out and find out what is really true, does our worldview, does it correspond, does it match up with all these other things that people are discovering? Given that what we are discovering is true, right, that it's real. So, yeah, I like that. So like cosmology, the study of what's going on in the universe, in space, planets, stuff like biology, psychology, mathematics, ethics, religion, history, okay, philosophy, just to name a bunch of branches in you know, in the things that we study and all that kind of stuff, you know, astronomy, all this kind of stuff. As we find out more and more, so let's say I learned something new within one of these fields, does it now contradict my worldview? Does my worldview run into a problem with it? Or I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. That fits in line exactly with how my worldview is, you see? And when we're talking with, when we're thinking about what it is that we believe, and when we're talking with other people about what they believe, you know, this is important. Because certainly if I couldn't, you know, if somebody else had the answer and I didn't have the answer, and I suddenly realized my worldview was inadequate, I would want somebody to kind of help me out, maybe start pointing me towards another worldview. Have you considered this? And likewise, you know. So one of the ways in which as a Christian, if you're having a discussion with someone, you see, you can start, take a curiosity, take an interest in what somebody else believes. Listen to them, listen to their worldview, and then start seeing whether there's conflicts within their worldview in itself, or whether it has a tension or problem with reality. You know, to give you a technical term, there's a Christian by the name of Ronald Nash, and he states a worldview is a conceptual scheme, okay, by which we consciously or unconsciously, so sometimes we just have beliefs without even realizing we're forming them, okay, place or fit, so this is where we consciously or unconsciously place or fit everything we believe and by which we interpret and judge reality. That's worldview. And then act upon it. I kind of have it. There's a guy named, he's a sociologist, a guy named Daniel Yankolovich. And he defines culture. And culture is in a way in which we kind of look at how we view our society, how we view reality, that kind of stuff. He defines cultures in terms that I think mirror worldview when he says culture is the effort to provide a coherent set of answers to the existential situations or questions that we might have, so concerning my existence, okay, that confront all human beings in the passions of their life. That's what culture is, and I think that in some sense that mirrors what a worldview is. So, as we move through life, we're trying to understand it. We're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to see, you know, what is this? You know, I mean, what are all these things I'm encountering, and what relevance do they have? What significance do they have? What am I to make of this kind of stuff? And that's, and really, I mean, in some sense, you know, that's what it is to be human. Now, I believe there is a truth, and I don't use the word "a" to minimize truth, but I believe there is a truth out there. As far as worldviews, I believe there's a worldview that's true, and others that are false, and we all have to come to terms with that. And it's not just a liking. It's not just a flavor of ice cream. It's not just, well, I like this worldview, or I like this worldview. I believe this, and that's okay for you, and I believe this, and that's, you know, and the other person says, well, I believe this, and that's okay for him. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean and say, well, you're wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and you're right. It's because there's reality, and then there's what we think about it, and if what you think about reality is false, you're walking through life mistaken and confused in some sense. And you don't, I don't mean to say this in a mean way, you know, because I don't mean to say that, you know, you have like a psychological problem or something, but in some sense, you don't have a grip on reality. Now, I assume that I have beliefs, some of which are wrong. Now, if I knew which ones they were, I'd change them.
I'll tell you.
Thank you. Right? And I assume that everybody was like that. So here's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to upset you. To some degree or another, we all have a slight non-grip on reality. We don't have a grip on reality to some extent or another, depending on your beliefs and your worldview.